I'm not supposed to fall for men who lie for a living. But here I am, standing in the rain outside the security booth at Hartwell Industries, holding a thermos of coffee I made for someone who doesn't exist. His name, or what I thought was his name, is Daniel Park. He's been the night security guard here for 3 months. The kind of quiet that makes you lean in closer just to hear him breathe. I started bringing him coffee after I found him reading the Brothers Karamazov during his shift, dog-eared and annotated in the margins. A man who wrestles with Dostoevsky at 2 a.m. deserves warm coffee. I thought I didn't know I was falling in love with a ghost. It starts the way these things always do, with small kindnesses that feel like rebellion. I'm a senior at the university across the street, double majoring in social work and insomnia. I see Daniel shivering in his too thin uniform jacket, and I bring him my brother's old coat. He refuses it 3 times before accepting. His hands shake when he takes it. I notice everything about those hands. The calluses that don't match manual labor. The expensive watch he hides under his sleeve. The way he holds books like they're made of something more precious than paper. "You don't have to keep doing this," he says one night, his voice rough with something that sounds like guilt. Doing what? Being a decent human? Seeing me as someone worth your decency. The way he says it, like he's confessing to a crime I haven't discovered yet, makes my chest tight. I should ask questions. I should wonder why a man who reads Russian literature and wears a Patek Philippe works security for minimum wage. But I don't, because when he looks at me I feel seen in a way that's almost violent in its honesty. 3 weeks pass. We talk about everything except the truth. He tells me his mother died when he was 16. I tell him about my father's gambling addiction, how I'm working 2 jobs to stay in school because he drained my college fund at a poker table in Atlantic City. We're both broke in different ways, him by choice, me by inheritance. Then comes the night that cracks everything open. I arrive at his booth to find it empty. The door is ajar, swinging in the October wind. His book is on the desk, open to a passage he's underlined. Above all, don't lie to yourself. The man who lies to himself and listens to his own lie comes to a point that he cannot distinguish the truth within him. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. Rowan Hall, 7th floor. Come alone, please. I know I shouldn't go. Every thriller I've ever watched, every true crime podcast I've binged, screams at me to call someone, to run, to choose survival over curiosity. But my feet are already moving toward the building's side entrance, using the student ID that shouldn't work here but does because Daniel, whoever he really is, must have programmed it into the system. The 7th floor is executive territory. I've never been past the 3rd. The elevator doors open onto darkness and the smell of expensive cologne. A single office at the end of the hall glows with warm light. I find him there, sitting behind a desk the size of my apartment, wearing a suit that costs more than my tuition. His hair is different, styled instead of hidden under that security cap. He stands when he sees me and the movement is all wrong, too confident, too powerful. "You're not a security guard," I say. My voice doesn't shake. I'm proud of that. "No." He steps around the desk and I see it now. The way he owns the space, the way the room bends toward him. "I'm the CEO and you just helped me catch 3 executives embezzling $4.2 million. The thermos slips from my hand. Coffee bleeds across marble flooring that probably costs more per square foot than I make in a month. "Your kindness," he continues, and there's something breaking in his voice. "It made them sloppy. They thought I was nobody. They talked in front of me. Because of you, because you made me feel human again, I remembered how to disappear into being invisible. I should feel used. I should feel betrayed. Instead, I feel something worse. The terrible understanding that everything we shared was real and false at the same time. And I can't untangle which moments belong to Daniel the guard and which to whoever this man actually is. "What's your real name?" I whisper. He looks at me with eyes full of something that might be love or might be the best performance I've ever seen. "James Hartwell." He pauses, and I think I've made a terrible mistake. Lying to me? No. He steps closer, close enough that I can see the exhaustion behind his expensive exterior. "Falling for you while doing it." The door behind me locks with a soft click. Open the door. James doesn't move. We're standing 3 feet apart in his corner office, surrounded by windows that look out over a city that suddenly feels complicit in his deception. Rain hammers the glass like it's trying to break through and drown us both. I can't, he says. Not yet. You mean you won't? I mean, 3 of my executives are currently being arrested in the parking garage. And if you leave this building before I can explain, you become a witness in a federal case you never agreed to be part of. His jaw tightens. I'm trying to protect you. By trapping me? By giving you the truth before the lawyers do. He moves to a leather chair, gestures for me to sit in the one across from him. I don't. Please, Rena, let me explain. Hearing my name in his real voice, deeper, more controlled than Daniel's careful quiet, feels like being unmade. I stay standing, arms crossed, because if I sit, I might shatter. My father built this company, James begins, and I hate how his words pull me in despite everything. He died 2 years ago. Heart attack at his desk, still working at 73 because he couldn't imagine existing without this place giving him purpose. He stares at his hands. I inherited everything, the company, the corruption, the rot he either didn't see or chose to ignore. So you went undercover as your own security guard. The board thought I was on an extended grief sabbatical in Europe. I told them I needed space. Instead, I came back here, dyed my hair, got a fake ID, and applied for the worst shift available. His laugh is hollow. You want to know what's really happening in a company? Watch what people do when they think nobody important is looking. And I was what? Cover? A prop to make you look more pathetic and harmless? The word lands like a slap. James flinches. At first, he admits, and I respect him more for the honesty than I would for any lie. You were convenient. A kind college student befriending the sad security guard. It made me seem more human, less suspicious. He stands, and now he's the one who won't look at me. But then you actually saw me. Not the guard, not the CEO, me. The person drowning between both versions, wondering if either one was real. I think of all those nights, the way he listened when I talked about my father, never offering empty platitudes, just presence. The time I broke down crying over failed midterms and he sat with me in silence, reading poetry aloud until I could breathe again. The Sunday morning I found him asleep in the booth with my coat pulled over him like a blanket. And instead of waking him, I just sat there watching him dream, thinking, this is what peace looks like on someone who's forgotten how to find it. How much of Daniel was real? I ask. All of it. He finally meets my eyes. That's the problem. The office phone rings. James answers it, his voice shifting into something sharp and executive. Yes, both accounts frozen? Good, I'll be down in 10 minutes. He hangs up, and when he looks at me again, I see the fracture. The man trying to hold 2 selves together with nothing but willpower. I have to go handle this, he says. But I need you to decide something first. Whether to forgive you, whether to trust me. He pulls a folder from his desk drawer, hands it to me. Inside are documents, financial records, emails. Everything I found. Everything you helped me find, whether you knew it or not. The lawyers will want to talk to you. The press will come eventually. This is going to be ugly. I flip through pages of numbers that blur together evidence of crimes I can't fully understand. Why show me this? Because you have a choice. You can walk away. I'll protect your privacy. Keep your name out of everything. You'll never have to see me again. His voice drops. Or you can stay. Help me figure out who James Hartwell actually is when he's not pretending to be someone else. It's not a declaration of love. It's something more dangerous, a confession of need. You're asking me to choose you, I say slowly, after you lied to me for 3 months. I'm asking you to choose the truth, even if it's messy, even if it hurts. He's close now. Close enough that I can smell his cologne mixed with the ghost of cheap coffee from the thermos I brought him hours ago. I wore a mask to catch thieves. But with you I took it off piece by piece, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until it was too late. Too late for what? To stop needing you. His hand reaches up, hesitates an inch from my face. I'm not asking you to love me. I'm asking you to give me time to deserve you. The lock on the door clicks open. He's giving me an exit. I should take it. I should walk away from this man who weaponized kindness, who let me fall for a fiction while he played detective in his own empire. But when I look at him, really look, I see something I recognize. Someone trying desperately to be good while drowning in circumstances that make goodness impossible. One condition, I hear myself say, anything. No more lies. Not about who you are, not about what you're feeling, not about why you need me here. I step closer and his breath catches. If we do this, whatever this is, we do it without masks. 3 weeks pass before I see him again. The trial is set for January. Sarah Kim took a plea deal. 4 years minimum security in exchange for testimony against the other 2 executives. Her daughter is in therapy. The press has moved on to newer scandals, and I've been trying to remember how to exist in a world where I don't check my phone every 5 minutes. Hoping for a message I told him not to send. He's kept his promise. No texts, no calls. Nothing but a single envelope that arrived on day 5. Delivered by courier because of course he'd find a loophole in "don't contact me." Inside, a cashier's check for $40,000 and a note in handwriting. I don't recognize because I only ever knew his voice, never his penmanship. This is what Sarah Kim's delayed transactions cost regular employees. It's not your fault, but I know you'll feel responsible anyway. Use it however you need to. For school, for therapy, for a plane ticket far away from me. Just please know you didn't help anyone steal. You helped me remember why catching them mattered. Jay. I've been staring at that check for 3 weeks, unable to cash it or throw it away. It's stained with coffee now. I left it on my counter and knocked over my morning cup, and the irony isn't lost on me. Coffee stains from the girl who brought warmth to a man who was drowning in cold calculations. My social work professor pulls me aside after class. "There's a woman here to see you. Says it's important." I find her waiting in the student lounge. Mid-40s, expensive but understated suit, the kind of compose that comes from years of practice. She stands when she sees me. "Rena Chen? I'm Patricia Hartwell, James's mother." I definitely wasn't prepared for this. She gestures to a table, and I sit because my legs forget how to work. She orders us both coffee from the campus cafe. Black for her, caramel macchiato for me. And I'm oddly touched that James must have told her my order. "I'm not here to defend my son," she begins, and I appreciate the directness. "He made choices that hurt you. But I thought you deserved context that he's too proud and too guilty to provide." "I'm listening." She pulls out a photo, a young James, maybe 7 or 8, sitting at a massive desk that dwarfs him. His father took this the day he told James he'd inherit the company. He was 8 years old and all he wanted was to go play soccer with his friends. Her smile is sad. But Richard Hartwell didn't build an empire by prioritizing childhood. He built it by training his son to sacrifice everything. Joy, friends, normalcy for duty. "I'm sorry, but I'm getting there." She puts the photo away. James spent his entire life trying to be the man his father wanted. Ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. And then Richard died, and James inherited not just a company but the realization that his father had built something partially on exploitation and cutting corners and willful blindness to ethical problems. She looks at me directly. That undercover operation? It wasn't about catching criminals. It was about James trying to prove he wasn't his father, that he could make the hard choices Richard avoided. But he inherited something else too, the inability to be vulnerable, to admit when he's drowning, to ask for help. "So you're telling me he lied to me because of daddy issues?" "I'm telling you he lied because he didn't know how to do anything else." Patricia's voice softens. "And then he met you. And for the first time in his life, someone saw past everything he was supposed to be. You saw him reading Dostoevsky and thought he deserved coffee. Not a business deal, not an advantage. Just simple human kindness." My throat tightens. "He fell in love with you," she continues. "The way drowning men fall toward air. Desperately, messily, without thinking about consequences because he was too busy trying to breathe." She reaches across the table, touches my hand gently. "I'm not asking you to forgive him. I'm asking you to understand that he spent his entire life wearing masks and you made him want to take them off. That's terrifying for someone who's never had that option. He delayed the investigation because of me," I whisper. "Money disappeared. People got hurt." "Money disappeared because criminals stole it," Patricia corrects firmly. "James caught them. Maybe not as fast as he could have, maybe not perfectly. But he caught them when his father never would have. Because Richard would have prioritized protecting the company's reputation over justice. James chose differently, even when it cost him." She pauses. "Even when it cost him you." We sit in silence. She finishes her coffee. I haven't touched mine. "He told me not to come here," Patricia admits. "Said you deserved space and I was interfering. But I'm a mother. And I watched my son become a machine pretending to be human, and then I watched you help." Patricia stands, squeezes my shoulder. "He's at the security booth tonight, the real one this time. No disguise. reading that same book and drinking terrible coffee because he's trying to figure out who he is when he's not pretending. She walks away, then turns back. Sometimes the bravest thing we do is let someone see us fail at being perfect. I find him there at 2 a.m., and when he sees me, the book falls from his hands. I don't know how to be both the man who caught them and the man who loved you, he says, and his voice breaks. But I'm tired of choosing. I sit beside him, our shoulders touching in that small booth where everything started. Then stop choosing, I whisper. Just be the man who's trying, flawed and guilty in mind. Deal. His hand finally touches my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone like I'm something holy he's afraid to break. I'm terrified of you, Rena Chen. You make me want to be the man you thought I was. What if that man doesn't exist? Then help me build him. It's the worst deal I've ever made, and I seal it anyway. Pressing my forehead against his as rain hammers the windows and somewhere below us. Handcuffed executives are learning that the guard they ignored was the one who destroyed them. His phone buzzes. He ignores it. It buzzes again. You should get that, I whisper. Let them wait. His other hand finds my waist. For once, let me choose something that's not the company. He chooses me. And God help us both, I let him. We have 6 days before everything implodes. 6 days where James teaches me how to exist in his world while I teach him how to be human in it. He takes me to company dinners where I'm introduced as a consultant. Vague enough to be meaningless, specific enough to grant access. I meet board members who look at me with thinly veiled curiosity, trying to calculate my worth in proximity to their CEO. Smile more, James whispers during one particularly excruciating cocktail reception. You look like you're planning their murders. I'm considering it. His laugh is quiet, genuine, the Daniel version breaking through the James armor. Under the table, his hand finds mine and squeezes. It's the first time he's touched me in public, and the intimacy of it, hidden, secret, ours, makes my chest ache. But it's the nights that unmake us both. We're in his penthouse now, not his office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the city, and I realize I've traded one kind of cage for another. This one just has better art and a wine collection that costs more than my degree. He's trying to teach me about the business, showing me spreadsheets and organizational charts, explaining the empire his father built and the responsibility crushing him. You don't have to understand it all, he says when I rub my temples, overwhelmed. I just need you to understand why I'm drowning. You're not drowning. I close the laptop. You're treading water and calling it swimming. He goes still. What's the difference? One has a destination. The other is just survival. James looks at me like I've spoken a truth he's been avoiding his entire life. Then he does something that breaks my heart. He laughs, but it's the kind of laughter that comes right before crying, and he presses his palms against his eyes like he can hold himself together through sheer force. Come here, I say. I can't. His voice cracks. If I start falling apart, I don't know if I can stop. Then don't stop. Just fall, so he does. He tells me everything. About his father's impossibly high standards, about inheriting a company at 28, and immediately discovering it was built partially on exploitation and creative accounting. About the night he decided to go undercover, dyeing his hair in a motel bathroom and wondering if he was brave or just desperately running from himself. I thought if I could fix the company, I could make him proud, James whispers. We're on the couch now, my fingers in his hair while he rests his head on my shoulder. But he's dead and I'm just a man trying to earn approval from a ghost. Maybe that's not the right question, I say softly. What is? What would make you proud? He lifts his head and in his eyes I see something dangerous forming, hope. Then his phone rings for the 40th time that evening. This time he answers, what? Sharp, cold, the CEO voice. Then his expression changes. When? How bad? A pause. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hangs up. Stands. The mask slides back into place so seamlessly I almost miss the man underneath. What happened? Sarah Kim, one of the executives I helped arrest, her daughter just tried to commit suicide. His jaw is tight. She left a note blaming me for destroying her family. The air leaves the room. James, don't. He's already moving toward the door, grabbing his jacket. Don't tell me it's not my fault. Don't tell me I did the right thing. That girl is 16 years old and in a hospital because her mother is going to prison because her mother stole millions of dollars, I interrupt, and he stops. You didn't force Sarah Kim to embezzle. You exposed it. And a 16-year-old girl paid the price. I grab his arm, force him to look at me. Justice isn't clean, James. It's messy and complicated, and it hurts people who don't deserve it. But the alternative is letting corruption win, because we're too afraid of collateral damage. Is that what his daughter is to you? Collateral damage? The accusation stings because he's not wrong. I'm trying to make him feel better with philosophy while a child is in an ICU. No, she's a victim of her mother's choices and a system that protects people like Sarah Kim until someone like you forces accountability. He pulls away, and I see it happening. The distance rebuilding between us brick by brick. I need to go to the hospital. I'm coming with you. No, James. I said no. It's the first time he's yelled at me, and the force of it stops us both. He closes his eyes, exhales slowly. I'm sorry, I need to face this alone. Why? Because if you see what my choices cost, you'll leave. And I can't lose you yet. The vulnerability in his voice nearly breaks me. I'm not ready to lose you yet. He kisses me before I can argue. Desperate, urgent, like he's trying to memorize the shape of my mouth before everything ends. Then he's gone, and I'm alone in his penthouse that suddenly feels like a museum to someone else's life. I should stay here, wait for him to come back, be the supportive almost girlfriend who doesn't ask hard questions. Instead, I grab my jacket and follow him. The hospital is chaos. Reporters already gathering like vultures. Photographers with cameras ready to capture tragedy. I slip through a side entrance, find James in a waiting room surrounded by lawyers and hospital administrators. His face is granite, but I see his hands shaking. I don't approach him. I just stand where he can see me. If he looks up, he does. And something in his expression cracks open. Sarah Kim's husband arrives, a small man with devastated eyes who looks at James with pure, undiluted hatred. You did this, he says, voice shaking. You destroyed my family for your ego. Your wife embezzled. My wife made mistakes. She was trying to pay for my mother's cancer treatment because your father's insurance plan didn't cover it. He steps closer and security moves in, but James waves them back. You're so busy playing hero you never asked why. You just judged and destroyed, and now my baby girl. His voice breaks. She's 17. She wanted to go to Juilliard. She plays cello. Did you know that? Did you care? James says nothing. There's nothing to say. I hope it was worth it, Mr. Kim spits. I hope your conscience feels clean while my daughter fights to want to live. He walks away, and James stands there like a man facing his own execution. When he finally looks at me, I see the question in his eyes. Was he right? Am I the villain here? I don't have an answer. The doctor emerges. The daughter is stable. She'll survive. James exhales like he's been holding his breath for hours. Then he turns and walks past me, past the lawyers, past everyone, toward the exit. I follow him to his car where he sits in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. I slide into the passenger seat. Talk to me. I'm tired, Rena. His voice is hollow. I'm so tired of being the one who has to make impossible choices while everyone else gets to judge from the sidelines. Then stop choosing alone. He finally looks at me. What? You asked me to stay. To help you figure out who you are. But you keep pushing me away when it gets hard. I take his hand. Let me in, James, all the way. Even the parts that are ugly and doubt and make mistakes. What if the ugly parts are all that's left? Then we'll figure out how to live with them together. For a moment, I think he'll argue. Instead, he pulls me across the console and kisses me. Not desperate this time, but resigned, like a man who's finally stopped fighting gravity. I don't deserve you, he whispers against my mouth. Probably not. I kiss him back. But I'm staying anyway. We drive back to his penthouse in silence. He holds my hand the entire way, and I wonder if we're building something real or just two broken people clinging to each other while we sink. That night, he falls asleep with his head in my lap while I read Dostoevsky aloud, the same book he was reading the night I first brought him coffee. When I get to the passage he underlined about lies, I stop reading and just watch him breathe. Tomorrow, the press will tear him apart. The board will question his methods. Sarah Kim's family will hate him forever. But tonight, in the quiet dark, he's just a man who's too exhausted to wear masks anymore, and I'm the fool who loves him for it. The video goes viral on day 8. Someone leaked security footage from the night of the arrests, James in his guard uniform. watching as Sarah Kim and two other executives talked openly about moving money through offshore accounts. The audio is clear. So is James's face as he records everything on his phone, hidden in his jacket pocket. But that's not what breaks the internet. It's the footage from 2 hours earlier. James and me, in the security booth, laughing over shared Thai food I'd brought. The way he looks at me, unguarded, soft, completely unlike the calculated CEO who orchestrated an entire sting operation. One news anchor calls it proof the investigation was compromised. Another calls me his accomplice or his distraction. Either way, it raises questions about the legitimacy of the case. By noon, I'm trending on Twitter. Security guard girl. The think pieces write themselves. When justice falls in love, the ethics of undercover CEOs and the women who humanize them. James's lawyers call an emergency meeting. I'm not invited, I show up anyway. The conference room goes quiet when I walk in. 8 lawyers, the head of PR, 2 board members, and James, looking like he hasn't slept in days, wearing the same suit from yesterday, coffee stain on his collar that he hasn't noticed. When he sees me, something in his expression fractures. Ms. Chen, the lead lawyer begins, and I already hate her. We need to discuss your role in... My role? I cut her off. I brought the man coffee. I didn't help him wiretap his own company. The optics suggest otherwise. She slides a tablet across the table. More footage. James letting me into the building after hours, giving me access to floors I shouldn't reach. The 2 of us in his office the night he revealed everything. To an outside observer, this looks like either collusion or manipulation. Either you were complicit, or Mr. Hartwell used his relationship with you to appear more sympathetic while conducting corporate espionage. It wasn't espionage, James says quietly. It was my company. That's not how the defense attorneys will frame it. She looks at me with something like pity. They're going to argue that your presence undermined Mr. Hartwell's objectivity, that his feelings for you clouded his judgment about when and how to intervene. My feelings didn't cloud anything, James snaps. The evidence speaks for itself, does it? Another lawyer jumps in. Because there's documentation showing you delayed confronting Sarah Kim 3 separate times. Once after Ms. Chen brought you dinner. Once after you and she had that conversation about your father. And once the night she stayed late working in your office, the same night Kim moved $200,000 to an untraceable account that we still haven't recovered. The silence that follows is suffocating. I look at James. Is that true? He won't meet my eyes. Mr. Hartwell. The first lawyer presses. Did your relationship with Ms. Chen at any point compromise the investigation? No, but his voice wavers. Did it delay it? He closes his eyes. Possibly. The word lands like a bullet. I step back and I see him notice. See the hurt flash across his face, but I can't care about that right now because my brain is trying to process what I'm hearing. How much money? I ask, voice steady despite my hands shaking. How much money disappeared because you were distracted by me? It's not like that. How much, James? $847,000. He finally looks at me. Across 3 transactions. We recovered most of it, but not all. I laugh and it sounds unhinged even to my own ears. Jesus Christ. I didn't just help you catch them. I helped them get away with more. That's not fair. He starts, but I'm already moving toward the door. His hand catches my wrist. Rena, wait! I pull away like his touch burns. Don't... Let me explain. Explain what? That you used me? That everything I thought was real was just you trying to feel human while you played detective? My voice cracks. I defended you, James. To my friends who said you were probably a creep. To myself when I wondered why a man like you would want someone like me. I told myself it was real. It was real. It is real. Bullshit. The lawyers shift uncomfortably, but I don't care. You know what I think? I think you were lonely and guilty and I was convenient. A poor student who made you feel like a good person while you did morally questionable things. And when it got complicated, when choosing me meant maybe letting criminals get away with more money, you chose the investigation. You just didn't have the balls to admit it. That's not... He runs his hands through his hair, frustrated. You're right. Is that what you want to hear? You're right. There were nights I should have moved faster. But I didn't because I was with you and I was happy for the first time in years, and I was selfish enough to let that matter more than the case. People's retirement funds were in those accounts. One of the board members says coldly. Regular employees who trusted this company. And you delayed justice because you were infatuated with a college student. James whirls on him. Those same employees that your generation exploited for decades, that my father worked into the ground while you all collected bonuses. Don't you dare. Enough! The head lawyer stands. This helps no one. Ms. Chen, I strongly suggest you retain counsel. You'll likely be called to testify, and anything you say can and will be used to undermine this case. She looks at James. And you need to decide right now. Are you the CEO who cleaned up his company, or the man who let his personal life compromise a federal investigation? Can't I be both? He sounds exhausted. Not if you want to win. I'm already halfway to the door when James calls my name one more time. I stop but don't turn around. I love you, he says, and the room goes silent. I know I have no right to say that. I know I should have protected you from this, kept you separate, been stronger. But I love you, and I need you to know that before you walk away. I turn slowly. He's standing in the middle of that conference room, surrounded by lawyers and board members and the wreckage of his carefully constructed investigation, looking at me like I'm the only thing in the world that matters. You love me? I repeat. Yes. Then you should have told me the truth from the beginning. You should have trusted me to handle it. My vision blurs. Instead, you made me an accomplice without my consent, and now we both have to live with that. Rena, I need space, James. To think. To figure out if I'm angry at you for using me or angry at myself for letting you. I wipe my eyes before the tears can fall. Don't contact me. Don't send flowers or lawyers or explanatory texts. Just let me breathe. I leave before he can respond. And the last thing I see is him standing there, looking more lost than he ever did as a security guard in a too-thin jacket, reading Dostoevsky alone in the dark. Outside, the reporters are waiting. Cameras flash. Questions barrage me. Ms. Chen, did you know about the investigation? Were you romantically involved with Mr. Hartwell? Do you feel used? I push through without answering. And by the time I reach my apartment, my tiny, safe, real apartment where no one is CEO of anything, I'm shaking so hard I can barely turn the key. My roommate takes one look at me and makes tea. What happened? I tell her everything. When I'm done, she's quiet for a long moment. So, she finally says, are you in love with him? I don't know, maybe. Does it matter? Of course it matters. She hands me the tea. Love doesn't excuse what he did. But it also doesn't erase what you felt. You get to be both angry and heartbroken. You get to take your time figuring out which one matters more. That night, I lie in bed scrolling through news articles that dissect every moment James and I shared. Some call me naive. Others call me calculating. A few call me lucky that I landed a billionaire CEO. None of them know the truth. I didn't land anything. I fell. Hard. For a man who let me believe he was small and safe when he was actually powerful and dangerous and so lonely, he was willing to risk everything just to feel less alone. My phone buzzes. Against my better judgment, I look. It's not James. It's Sarah Kim's husband. My daughter woke up today. First thing she asked about was her cello. Thought you'd want to know. Not forgiving anyone, just, she's alive. I read the message 3 times. Then start crying. For the girl who almost didn't make it. For the man I love who made impossible choices. For myself and the innocence I lost when I started bringing coffee to a security guard, who turned out to be so much more, and so much less than I imagined. Somewhere across the city, James is probably in his office drowning in work and guilt. Part of me wants to go to him. Part of me never wants to see him again. Both parts are screaming. Neither is winning.